Thank you very much. We are still right here just trying to gather some more voices and have more conversations around various topical issues affecting the accounting profession, not just here in Rwanda, but across the African continent. And who best to help us to speak about a very important topic or subject matter, and that is the subject matter around AI, artificial intelligence. It's a buzzword. And how is it concerning the accounting profession? How's the accounting profession adapting to AI? Noah Baalessanvu.
Yes,
Baalessanvu. Thank you very much for making time. You're the head of technology at Savannah Group Africa. You made a very interesting presentation. You spoke deeply about this subject matter. You actually pointed out what needs to be done. But I want to just take the arm of the clock back and, of course, just make some steps back and try to understand how even the accounting profession is reacting to this whole subject matter that is AI.
Yeah.
What are you hearing? What are you feeling?
It's interesting because, like I mentioned in my talk, there are certain professions that are grounded in the present, or they're grounded in practices that have been part of the profession for a long time. I'll put them in the same category as the lawyers. You know, you can find lawyers that are well versed in the law that was developed in the 20s, early, very long time. So these industries that are that find their definition, or they find their regulatory role in rules, usually struggle with innovation.
Yes.
Especially when things as disruptive as AI comes in.
Yeah.
So there is all the talk about embracing technology and all that, but it still boils down to they do not understand the risk it presents to their very profession. And so over the maybe about 4 or 5 years that I've been doing this in this space, because this is a time frame in which they have been post-COVID, where we have seen major disruptions, and we have evidence of companies that made it through and companies that didn't.
Right.
So this disruption is real. And so what I'm seeing is that, okay, the conversation is maturing. Many, I was glad to see that many of them are using these tools at a personal level.
Right.
But we need to scale that up. Am I using it as a fad just to find out what this ChatGPT thing is about?
Yeah.
Or am I using it as a tool of trade?
Yeah.
Am I using it daily?
Yeah.
Or am I just remembering, hey, I need to search for something?
Right.
And so that is a place we are in right now, but it will change.
It will change. What will be needed for this to change?
I don't want to pray for another COVID. So I'm going to be political in that we need to see certain, and we're going to see it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, people woke up when they discovered that ChatGPT can pass the bar. People woke up when they found out that ChatGPT can make a diagnosis of a disease when you put in the symptoms.
Right.
And so these examples are going to wake people up. You're in the media space. Right now, with a few prompts, I can generate a 5-minute video.
Exactly.
From scratch. That is what they call hyper-real. You'll think that it is someone with a camera filming. With those tools, that realization hits you is like, okay, the tool of my current trade is at risk. Am I using that? When I was just looking at your gear here, one of the things that came to mind is that Adobe has a free tool that clears noise from podcasts.
Yes. And we're going to use that.
You put it in, it removes all background noise, and you'll think you're in a studio.
Exactly.
For free.
Yeah.
That's an AI tool.
Right.
So you see how your present work, imagine the cleaning that would need an audio engineer to do post-production to clean off all the background noise.
AI is going to do that.
AI is doing that in a click.
Right.
So you see, your industry is affected now by a tool that you have the potential of using.
Right.
The more that happens, the faster the adoption.
Right. Now, to the accounting profession specifically, I saw this even as a question that was asked on the floor of the plenary, especially when it came to whether there are specific accounting tools, AI tools, that you could point them to. Because today we are aware of those who are still using Excel to actually do their accounting work. And like you've mentioned, within the media space, there are tools that have a name and you can point to it. What are those within the accounting space that you can be able to say, hey guys, take a look at this particular area?
It's weird you mentioned Excel because that's one of the tools.
Oh, but it's improved, or it's still...
It is, because you see, one thing, many people don't realize that ChatGPT belongs to Microsoft.
Right.
And so Microsoft has taken the best of ChatGPT and put it into the Microsoft tools. So right now, out the box, Excel, Word, PowerPoint all have ChatGPT embedded. At a $30 subscription, you have this available to you. Now, it is so powerful in Excel that if you have a sheet, you can ask it to draw curves. You can ask it to generate, if you have a sheet of transactions, you can ask it to generate a P&L. Right there, with no involvement. You'll not put any formulas anywhere. ChatGPT doing it all for you. So you'll find that, interestingly, Excel is one of the most versatile tools in the hands of an accountant today.
Right.
When it has ChatGPT. But also, we also recognize that many of these accounting software companies have not been left behind. They're also realizing that this software is changing their core business. And so many of them have integrated AI into their daily workflow. So you find the likes of, the very popular accounting tools and software, QuickBooks and the like, now are starting to integrate AI in it. So you fire up your QuickBooks, input is happening, you just tell it, draw me a P&L for last year. And it does it automatically in less than a click. You don't even actually, now many of these chat tools are voice activated. So you're having a conversation with QuickBooks.
Right.
Who knew that is a way in which an accountant can integrate with QuickBooks? Just have a conversation with it, tell it what you want, and it produces it immediately. So all these tools that are currently being used, all the tools are being ramped up. They're being, some adrenaline is being pumped into them. And so they're becoming more relevant. But yeah, it's funny that even Excel has come back as a very shining example of what happens when you put in AI and a tool like Excel.
Right. So whatever they've been using or whatever they use today, all is needed is to try and incorporate the AI tools that are available in there.
Exactly.
Now, at what point then do we apply critical thinking? Because even employers, when they're hiring, one of the things they're looking for is this person a critical thinker? And here we are saying that these AI tools will give us these things just by a click of a button.
Yes.
Are we doing the right thing? Are we losing it? Who needs now to change? Is it the hiring professionals, or is it us who need to? What's going on here? Educate me a bit.
Let me tell you, hiring changed a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was not even driven by AI. When large organizations that are tech-driven, like Microsoft, Facebook, stop asking about your degrees, they give you a problem there at the interview, how well you solve it, you're hired or fired. They don't care about your history. And so even hiring has changed. What this is going to do is that it's interestingly going to force us to be critical thinkers, because the mundane, repetitive work of day to day has been taken over. So now you're liberated. In your work week, you have more hours to think critically.
Pause a bit there and try to make sense out of this point. So there is an assumption that those who use AI tools are not critical thinkers.
Yes.
How do you? So that's an assumption. Now explain.
Okay, because we misuse AI. You use AI as a glorified Google. That is not your best use of it. You can't start typing the same thing you type in Google into a chatbot.
Right.
If you know how, I use this as a personal, the number of lines of instruction you put in ChatGPT tells you how well you know how to use it. By the time because let me give you an example of a prompt. If I want to emulate an accountant, I'm not. I'm from the tech space. But I need to come up with a financial model for a business, which is something that I do as a founder of businesses. So what I do, I tell the chatbot, I am a financial, this is my prompt, what I'm typing into the chat.
Right.
I am a financial behave as a financial expert. I need a financial model that projects the trajectory of my business over the next 5 years. If my core revenue is this, my core costs are these, and this is the capex that I need to have achieved by the end of the year. Draw me a financial model. You understand? It is going to ask me a few more questions, then I'll tell it, make all the necessary assumptions necessary if my business is in Uganda in 2024.
So it's all about the right question.
That sentence alone will generate for me my financial model.
Right.
You understand?
I get you.
And so now many people are underutilizing AI, because unless you engaging the AI to that degree and level, if you ask a generic question, it will give you a generic answer.
Correct.
If you ask a specific questions with parameters, it will give you specific answers with parameters. And so the first thing we need to realize is that it takes intelligence to get intelligence out of AI.
Right.
So it is not making people lazy, as many people think. If AI is making you lazy, you're underutilizing it.
Right.
In fact, AI should make you smarter in the way you integrate with systems.
So you're saying if there's a supervisor listening or watching us right now,
yes,
and they bump onto one of their employees on ChatGPT or any other AI tool, then they shouldn't be feeling bad about it, because we have seen that supervisors, employers, business owners seem not to be really adapting to this. They seem to be seeing this as a way of cheating. I found my employee on ChatGPT. These things of ChatGPT are the ones that you're bringing me. So what are you advising them today?
I'm advising them to, the person who's using, if you're in an organization today and you're using ChatGPT, you have a future in that organization, because you're going to become, over time, you're going to become more efficient for me than the person who's not using it.
Right.
The person who takes 1 week to generate a report vis-a-vis you who uses ChatGPT and take a few seconds to generate the same report.
Right.
So I should start seeing, this is of course many factors held constant, I should start seeing benefit from your work as long as you're using ChatGPT. Now there is a risk, and it is not what many people think.
Right.
The risk, in fact, is my company information ending up in the public cloud because you're using ChatGPT. Now that's a big risk. And that's why many organizations are slow to adopt ChatGPT and maybe preferring more localized extensions or localized versions of the AI within the organizations, because there is proprietary information that you can expose to ChatGPT, and this, because it's a public tool, gets exposed to the internet.
Right.
Understand? And so
Right.
that's a risk. And by all means, you shouldn't be, and that's why Microsoft has improved a bit. Microsoft has an enterprise grade ChatGPT of sorts, which limits its scope to your company and does not expose your company to your company data externally.
Right.
And so that's a risk. But if someone is using it to become better, it's like asking me, who would you hire? Someone who uses a typewriter well, or someone who uses Microsoft Word well?
Well, right.
Yeah.
It's a powerful one. And as you mentioned the aspect of risks, I want us just to spend a few minutes, because I know I need to release you, and talk about more risks that you would like to flag for organizations within the accounting profession, especially when it comes to tech, it comes to AI. You did present in your presentation on the floor of the plenary, you did mention the aspect of protecting the sharks. No, you said whales.
Whales, yes.
Just tell us a bit more about this, because I'm sure there are people who might have missed this, and this could be crucial for them.
So I usually start by telling you the biggest risk is your lack of adoption. Like, the more you behind you are, the more at risk you are. And so, for example, right now, hackers are using AI. So, if you're not using AI to protect yourself, you're a human being protecting yourself against a machine that has infinite scale. You're going to lose at some point. And so understanding that the farther behind you are, the more at risk you are. Just like updates on your phone or your laptop. If you don't have the latest updates, you're not protected from the latest risks. So if you don't have the latest understanding of how technology is affecting your business, you're left behind by default. So you have ingrained a risk into your day-to-day process. So that's the first thing. The risk is of staying behind. I've shared the risk of external information, because the AI implementations are open. So if I put my information on ChatGPT, I'm putting it on the internet.
Right.
And so we must realize that that is a risk. Okay? And so secondly, we have to realize that the more information, the more I engage with the AI, the more it is getting familiar with my data.
Right.
So if someone else somewhere else asks that question, it gives me an answer based on my public information that I put in the public, and so it's a big risk. And so we have to understand that risk. Then of course there's the cybersecurity, in that when you because it is a new tool, not many people understand the full capabilities. I just gave an example of how the creators of ChatGPT were shocked by its own results.
Yes.
In how well it understood prompts to generate a video. So that means if the developers are getting shocked, that means it is learning certain things about my business that even I don't know about, that even many people don't know about. And that can be a risk. Both it can be an advantage in that it gives you insights into your market, but it can be a risk in that because now it exposes something that is blindsiding everyone.
Right.
And so those are certain risks that we have to understand that new technologies bring into an ecosystem. And we must take them in the steps necessary to make sure that we are understanding but also taking advantage of the benefits.
Right. Finally, I promise, this is the last question. Then I'll let you go. There's the aspect of the content or the creators of these AI tools, where we've seen, people from the African continent being just consumers of these AI technologies, AI creations. Does it or will it matter who created it? Or at the end of the day, we will continue just being consumers? How do we change the tides? How do we also start creating this tools that are able to understand our language and understand our context? Or do you feel it doesn't matter who created it after all?
No.
Yeah.
it does matter who created it. So the biggest debate right now in the AI space is AI bias, because majority of the information that these AIs are trained are from Western countries,
Correct.
from predominantly white societies, and so they have a challenge understanding Black or African context or any other context, whether it's South American or Asian. And so this is a big risk, and that is inherently because we are not participating.
Right.
And so because we don't participate, we have these tools that are now being developed are not well enriched with data from the continent or well enriched with data about ourselves. And so it's a big risk. Right now, if you try and prompt any AI to tell you, let's say you want a prompt to draw an African professional lawyer, and it has a capability, it will not accept that, because the context of an African, like for example, one of the challenges I read somewhere is that it drew an African lawyer with dreadlocks, and the people are like, who said all Africans will have dreadlocks?
Yes.
And you see, so there is inherent bias. And so because we are not participating, it is biased in its Africa view. And so it is very important that we as Africans and many other people are engaged in the development of these models.
Right.
Because if we are not, they are biased against us.
Right. And this bias will continue.
And this bias will just get worse the more laid back we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Noah, thank you very much for making time. Very insightful.
You're welcome.
I'd want to talk to you more and more, but I think that's all the time we had for this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We are live on location. If you are hearing some sounds, some voices out there, we are live on location. And of course, this is where all the action is taking place for the East African Congress of Accountants, ICPAR. And of course, these conversations will continue right here. Stay with us.